Hour number 2 here on a game day. And joining us now is the guy that's going to be calling the game on ESPN's Monday Night Football. It's play-by-play commentator Steve Levy, kind enough to join us on game day. Steve, how you doing? You ready to rock and roll tonight?
Yes, I know the fans will be ready, and we got to try to match that. I got to try to contain myself. That's one of my issues. I'll be ready to jump out of the booth for kickoff. We're as a group, we are all so excited for this.
Yeah, in fact, I got a chance to play a little golf with Dan Orlovsky a little while back. He has made it clear he's really excited about tonight's first opportunity to do it. How's it going with him, and how's he acclimated to the new production routine?
It's been great. You see Dan in the morning. He's on all these morning shows, and he's so dialed in, the breaking down film and tape, and so. I learned something new from him every single time I get a chance to work with him. So that's been really enjoyable for me. We were fortunate to do a couple of preseason games as well, preseason Monday Night Football games. So we've got a few reps in, and we're looking forward to letting it fly tonight for real.
So, Steve, obviously you get a chance to talk to the coaches on both sides here, and I'm curious where Vrabel is at with this. They've had losses in the past that were quote-unquote unexpected, and I think you'd file week 1 in that category for the Titans. They've been here before, and then inevitably they come back and beat a team they're not supposed to beat. That's happened before. I think they even call it the Vrabel effect down there in Tennessee. Are they clinging to that this week?
I mean, Chris, we talked to Vrabel yesterday, and I asked him that same question. I said, look, not all losses are created equal. I said this to him yesterday, you still look angry from, I don't know if it's a 24-hour rule when you flush a loss. And Vrabel said, no, this is my usual face. This is my usual attitude. So, he's got that rough, gruff exterior, if you will. But I think he's confident in his team. I do not think that was the real Tennessee Titans from a week ago. I think they would admit they got a little fancy against the Giants, some of the play calling as well last week. And I think you'll see the real Tennessee Titans tonight. And I don't know what that means, but I think you'll see a bigger dose of Derrick Henry and straight ahead and not, end arounds to rookie tight ends on 3rd and 1 and not being, just shredded by, Saquon Barkley from a week ago. So, hey, Titans used the words embarrassed. They were embarrassed last week. And so I think the Bills will get their best effort tonight.
Yeah, they're not the same roster as they were a year ago when they got the number 1 seed. They've had some changes. How has that, what kind of differences do the new players and new faces on their roster make in their personality and who they really are?
We don't know. I mean, that's the thing, right? They've played 1 game. A.J. Brown, I think, is the biggest absence. And then you see what he did with the Eagles and just tore it up in week number 1. So that's got a sting. When nobody's sleeping on Roger Saffold, right? Who was they desperately wanted to keep him, and now he's a big part of the Bills' offensive line. So those are 2 of the major changes on offense. They've got 2 young wide receivers who are very, very talented. The first-round pick up there as well, but quite simply, we don't know. And they spent a lot of money at the tight end position, picking up Hooper, and he was involved last week, with 1 catch. Kind of like Dawson Knox had 1 catch last week. And so I think the tight end position is really interesting to watch tonight. But it's a great unknown. Other than, Tannehill and Derrick Henry, we got to see how they do in the passing game. People are familiar with Robert Woods here in Buffalo, I know. He was beloved in Los Angeles with the Rams. And we'll see what he gives the Titans offense tonight.
Steve, you mentioned how Saquon tore them up. I think your colleague, Dan Orlovsky, even brought it up to us. I think he got 134 of his 168 yards without even being touched by the Titans defense last week, which is a startling figure. Any team should expect the next opponent to test all of that stuff to see if you have it buttoned up. As much as everybody's talking about Josh and the passing attack here, do you kind of openly wonder if the Bills may test that early to see if the Titans have it corrected?
Probably tested early, but I think the Bills are going to be the Bills. And I think Buffalo has to do what they do best. But there's no doubt there's been an emphasis for the Bills to get the running game going. And I think that's a season-long theme for Buffalo, right? you have what could be this great home field advantage. And if the Bills are going to be as good as everyone anticipates and a top seed in the home games, the buys, then you want to use Orchard Park to your advantage. And throwing the football in January 45 times is not really to their advantage. Now, they've got Josh Allen, he's got the arm, can throw it through the phone book. I get all that, but I think you would like to be more balanced when it comes to January and be able to use your home field advantage to your advantage. So I think that's a theme all season to watch, and certainly they'll test it. But I think the Bills want to throw the ball. I think that's where they're best suited, but certainly the running game will be more improved tonight.
What do you make of the Bills' inability, or at least in recent memory last year, their inability to win close games? And then when they do win, it's double-digit. It's a double-digit affair. They seem to be really, really good front runners. And then they get into these muckety-muck games. Unless they can get up by a score or two, they tend to struggle. Is there any generalization you can draw from that? Because every year seems to be different.
And Steve, that's the game last year in Nashville, right? We had that game on Monday night, comes down the stretch, and I love the play call. I get it. You don't want to go for the tie, you go for the win. And Simmons got him, but I think Josh really did slip on that 4th down and 1, 20 seconds or whatever it was left. So, and that's the total opposite. That is the total opposite from the Titans. Tennessee gets into the 4th quarter, 1-score game, and they win those games. And you're right. Buffalo, they seem to blow people out, and if not, then it's a struggle. And that, to me, that contrast makes tonight so interesting. I think if you look at this from afar, this looked like the Bills could walk away tonight and have an easy victory. But then, you remember who the Titans are, and you remember yesterday's games. Well, who's turning off tonight's game if the Bills have a 21-point lead? Right? No way. Not after what we saw in the NFL yesterday with all the great comebacks. So, as a broadcaster, we're looking to get into the 4th quarter of a 1-score game. And you're right, Steve. That's when the Titans are more dangerous, I think, than the Bills have been in the past. But maybe that's one of the adjustments that Buffalo's able to make this season. Just continue to be a better team and win those close games too.
I know that, you have an opportunity to talk to players and coaches for the Bills, and Coach McDermott kind of has a pretty buttoned-up operation here. So pulling stuff out of these guys is easier said than done. Do you sense any kind of redemption factor in play here from last year's game on the part of the Bills?
I don't think it's a big factor. I think these are two organizations that are really familiar with each other. It's weird that they play every single year, and it's kind of a fluky schedule thing since they're out of division. They all seem to be on national TV too, because they're two marquee franchises, big time players, and obviously excellent teams. So I will say this: in the years I've been doing this, I think we had our most enjoyable player meeting of any player in the 3 years I've been doing this. Anyway, I was with Von Miller on Saturday, and Von just gave. And Josh Allen's always great, but Von just took it next level as to the reasons he really came to Buffalo, and winning was number one. And I asked him about could Buffalo become a free agent destiny where people want to come, where people want to be in Buffalo. And he said, look, man, it's not about the restaurants, it's not about the stadium, it's not the market size, it's not the weather. He wants to win. And I hadn't heard him say this before. If the Rams would not have won the Super Bowl, he thinks he would have stayed with Los Angeles. So I found that very interesting. There's one player in history, and I was shocked by this, one player in history who's won the Super Bowl with 3 different franchises, and that's Matt Millen. Like, you would have thought a backup linebacker or a backup guard or somebody got lucky, bounced around the right team at the right time and gotten that. So I think Von really wants to be part of that. And when we brought that up, even Von said, you know what, Matt Millen didn't play in the postseason that last run with Washington. So Von's got a chance to do something here no one else has. And it's obviously set up. It's a great spot, Buffalo. And it feels like, at the end of the Denver career for Von, looked like, maybe he lost a step. Maybe he wasn't the same guy. And he got off to a bit of a slow start in L.A. He's a monster down the stretch, great in the postseason, and obviously off to a good start with the Bills, too.
Yeah, and as he lands here in Buffalo, certainly he's right. I mean, if you're going to try and pick a horse this offseason of where you'd love to play, Buffalo really seems to be the place to do it. And we've had one of the callers on today's show, we've had people call in all through the offseason worried about the incredible expectations placed on the Bills. You know, the high-flying offense that they ended the season with, they put together an absolutely perfect game against the New England Patriots in the playoffs. Then they finished on maybe even a higher offensive note, coming back in Kansas City, scoring that touchdown with 13 seconds left, and then starting out and lumping up the world champions in week 1 of this season. So you're right. He's right. What do you make of the expectations and your experience? You know, there's only one team a year that can meet expectations or exceed them. Like Cincinnati exceeded their expectations last year, even though they didn't win it. What effect do you think those expectations have on any organization, give or take, in whatever year you can talk about?
So I think it's definitely a factor. And McDermott told us yesterday it's real. I mean, they hear it. They're not trying to fool anyone. They know what is being said and what is out there. And then you try to control the noise. Nick Saban calls it rat poison, right? You don't want to let everything from the outside creep into your walls in your building. So they're up against it. And that's why a guy like Von Miller, to me, really helps, right? He's been through it. He's been through the expectations. He can coach up some of the younger guys. But the pressure is on. This is a market where, you think Buffalo, you think of the Bills. I mean, that's it. And this is a chance really for the Bills to plant their flag as the class of the entire NFL. And I think that's quite a statement. So Von even looked over his shoulder. We're in the practice bubble. You guys know obviously very well. And Von sort of looked over his shoulder and said, we're looking to change those AFC championship banners into a Super Bowl banner. And so they're not afraid to talk about it. I think they know how good they are. And now it's a matter of week 2. The schedule's weird, right? So you have the whole off season. You play the first game. Now the Bills are sitting around for 11 days, right? That's weird, right? And you look next week, and here come the Dolphins, and all of a sudden, they're playing great football. So I think there are challenges every single week, and it remains to be seen, how Buffalo can deal with that. But, expectations have never been higher. Every single person on the planet is picking the Bills and Josh Allen to be MVP. And so that's just one more hurdle I think you have to deal with.
Last one I've got for you, Steve. Is there a matchup tonight that's going to be, well, I know you got to call the action, but is there a matchup there that's going to be kind of catching your eye maybe more than some of the others that are going to be out there on the field tonight?
Yes, I think it's we got rookie cornerbacks, both sides. Both sides, rookie corners are going to take on a big role. And I think Jeffrey Simmons is also a monster. No one else is Aaron Donald in the league, and I get that. And Buffalo, did a pretty good job against him. But Simmons is probably the second guy. And, he's blown up offenses and offensive lines before. And so I think if you're looking in the interior, he's got to have a big game for Tennessee to hang around and make this a fourth quarter. And that's the formula where the Titans are successful.
What do you think this game turns out to? Even if it is a close game, and you can very easily see how this game could be one of those 3-point games, last drive of the game kind of decided. Do you think it's in the low 20s, high teens, low 30s, high 30s? Where do you think this game gets to?
Yeah, probably high 20s. Listen, Buffalo scored 27 points, I think, in 6-7 consecutive games. So Buffalo 30 spot seems automatic. And so, in my heart, I'm hoping for a close game. It's hard to imagine Tennessee scoring so much. So, maybe a 27, 24, 27, 21 kind of game. Listen, Buffalo's offense is just on fire and clicking, and they seem to be better in just about every category now. I think, again, the concerted effort to establish the running game. And so, something like that, high 20s. Again, I can't see Tennessee putting up 30 on Buffalo. So that's what I would say. And I think the Bills are clearly the favorite. Titans are rarely double-digit underdogs. And so Vrabel will have them ready. And hopefully we'll put on a good show for the folks.
Right.
Steve, thanks for the time. Good luck on the call tonight. And we'll catch up with you down the line. Enjoy the game.
All right, look forward to it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it, Steve.
ESPN.
Watch out for traffic.
That's ESPN Monday Night Football play-by-play broadcaster Steve Levy joining us here on the show on game day of all time.